Ladies and gentlemen, the next installment of Down the Rabbit Hole is here. Y'all are loving this. We're getting some really good discussion going. Let's continue seeing what Down the Rabbit Hole has for us.
Expansions. Incarna. Renamed from Walking in Stations, Incarna promised a new level of immersion for EVE players by allowing them to control their character avatars directly, and after years of advertisement, expectations were high. This was also an expansion that had drawn significant resources from other projects, as many developers had been moved from other aspects of the game and other games entirely in order to create this expansion. Blogger Wilhelm Arcturus writes in retrospect that, quote, to get this feature, they had to not only forego working on other more core issues to the game, but pretty much had to rob the World of Darkness team of resources as well. End quote. But the immediate reception to the new additions was mixed. Many of the features promised with Incarna were missing to be added at a later date, and what was made available, while tantalizing, was paltry compared to the scope that Crowd Control Productions envisioned and had projected onto the player base.
I think it's just sad. And we can speculate about why, but the reality is I think they overpromised. Imagine if they didn't. This is something that we have to do a lot as marketers. I know this a lot. You can't overpromise, underdeliver. It's one of the only ways to fail as a business. Because now, how many times has CCP, unfortunately, I like the dev teams over there, but how many times have they overpromised and underdelivered? The collective faith in CCP games is, I would call it good, maybe mediocre, not great, not bad. Some people think it's bad, but those people are just doomers anyway. So the problem is they also cannibalize the other team in order to make these features, but it's very clear when you have a big team working on something and the product isn't what you wanted, the problem is typically time frames where they didn't have enough time to make their vision realize. Look at No Man's Sky, right? They had a small team, and because of publisher demands and timing, they put out this mediocre product. No Man's Sky is one of the best games out there, period, full stop. Okay? It just is incredible. The scope of it now, the customization, they keep adding free updates for, like 5 or 6 years now? No Man's Sky, we'll probably have No Man's Sky content at some point. I actually owe you like a couple guides just from y'all asking. So, point is, we could talk about the history of it. It sucks. It's good context. We hope and pray that Vanguard and or EVE Frontier does not go the way of this, where they overpromise and underdeliver. How you can help them do this is you join the Discord. How you can help them to not underdeliver is you join the Vanguard, you join the EVE Online, you join the EVE Frontier Discord, and if you playtest some of their stuff, give them constructive feedback, what you like. Let your voice be heard in a constructive way. This is how you can help our game, EVE Online, be better. If Vanguard wins, EVE Online wins. If Frontier does okay, that's a whole bag of worms. Well, like we've talked about that, y'all know how I feel. If it does good, then EVE Online will do well. That's how it goes. So
the two main features were a new, robust character customization process, which players could use to update their avatars, and the Captain's Quarters, which acted as a replacement for the efficient menus that players once had in their hangars. Instead, players were now required to ambulate their character models through a special room where finicky menus could be activated. In a game where menuing accounted for much of the experience.
I hate seeing it. Because I want it. I'm so upset, dude. It makes me sad. I don't think a single one of us looks at that and goes, I don't need that. Right? I look at that and I'm like, oh, yeah. Because I'm a WoW player. I'm a Guild Wars 1 player. I'm a Guild Wars 2 player. I played ESO briefly, but like, walking around on my character. That's right, Sam. I was way better than ship spinning, I'm hoping that at some point they add this back in. But I have a feeling how EVE is built at an infrastructure level is the problem, right? And we'll see.
This significantly slowed the process. What's more, computer performance in this area was notably worse than the rest of the game, further hampering a now unfamiliar method of gameplay. The loneliness of the space was heightened by a locked door that promised to one day be opened so that players could enter the rest of the station and interact with other players outside of their ships in bars, clubs, and others' rooms. While not all players were fundamentally opposed to the introduction of the captain's quarters, its practicality was suspect, and most players opted instead for a more traditional view of their critical menus, foregoing the avatar-centric method of navigation that had been a core focus of this new development for half a decade.
So one of the main problems is that they were moving menu items that you needed to interact with into this like area, thus making it so that the people that wanted to just open up their industry menu when they're in space, when they're in the station, you could only access it in the room? That sucks. Let them have both. Like, that's a weird design choice. Like, that's a very strange. I can tell you that I don't like that. You want to give players options, not lock them out of something with a new feature. I understand it's like, use our thing, but it's a cosmetic thing, right? Like, it's a walk around a room with your character that screams only cosmetics, you know? So it's the locked door. Why do you reopen this most precious room? I know. It's fresh for me too.
However, rather than being returned to the hangar view that had become a core part of EVE's aesthetic since its release, featuring the player's active ship in the center of the screen, players were instead shown a static angle of the locked station door, removing functionality from what had once been the hangar. Yeah. Despite being the chief focus of development, the captain's quarters would not be the feature that would attract the most attention. Along with the more robust character creator, there were now cosmetic options for players to purchase using currency bought with real-world fiat money.
Dude. What's worse than a locked door that never opens? $100 Monaco, baby!
This is going to be fun.
However, the prices for some goods were viewed as egregious. EVE News 24 wrote, quote, "Head over to the EVE Online forums or other EVE-related sites, and it won't take you long to figure out how much buzz has been made over the fact that a monocle, or even a measly shirt, is worth more than a faction-fitted battleship, a couple of plexes, or even more than the retail box version of the EVE Online game.
Sheesh.
Enter the not-so-noble exchange shop, proof that once again CCP loses grasp of reality as is shown by prices on the new Vanity Shop, with products like a whopping $60 for that now infamous monocle, the $22 shirt, or the designer boots, all of which might be a bit too much for many reasonable players."
Listen, it's too much money. It's too much money. Okay? That's it. It's simply too much. Nothing else needs to be said. It's more than the game. Okay? $60 for an eyepiece. It's not worth the money. It's that I call a legacy chat. That's a cash grab. It's a digital asset in a video game. It doesn't matter how many man hours it took to make it. It's a digital asset that it does not need anything to renew. It's not a shirt or a mug. In the real world, it's a digital good that is just, it's infinitely there. So it doesn't need to be put at a high price point. It should have been, I think cosmetics should cap out at like $10, you know? And I think the ones at $10 should have like a glow, something special about it. Not just, it's a monocle, you know? It's just lame.
End quote.
It's just
Players
lame.
began generally expressing that this would only be the beginning of aggressive monetization on the part of crowd control productions. Such suspicions were seemingly confirmed that same month when an issue of the internal company magazine Fearless was leaked, titled "Greed is Good." The first page, written by the editor Perry Desai, reads in part, quote, "As a subscription-based golden goose, EVE needs to incorporate the virtual goods sales model to allow for further revenue. Revenue to fund our other titles. Revenue for its developer. A particular..."
Look, every business needs to stay in business. Okay. We talked about this on the last one. Every single business's goal is to stay in business. All right. The problem is the number one business driver for a video game company is player enjoyment. In an MMO, the players get enjoyment out of being together, out of overcoming odds. It's the same problem that WoW had when they introduced that damn horse, that horse mount that I bought. Because I was like, oh, it's a horse mount. $20. Do you know that the horse mount in World of Warcraft, when they first announced the first ever buy amount, I'm pretty sure the stat was that mount made more money than all of StarCraft 2. Do you understand? Do you understand that digital good in World of Warcraft made more revenue for Blizzard than the entirety of StarCraft 2 did? So there's money there. There's money to be made. But like any practice, any business practice, there's such a thing as too much money. If I go to the store and a loaf of bread is $25, I'm going to a different store. What the hell? I bought it. I bought the mount. But now they have all these other paid mounts. And that was really the start of like, oh, our players will buy something. You know, there's something to be said about let your players spend money. Okay. Let them, if they want to bling out their character with something fun, let them. But it says there's something called in marketing, we call it intangibles, marketing intangibles. And if I price a digital good at $60 in a game whose monthly subscription is $15, it should come with 3 months sub. Or 2 months sub. And then it's like, okay, all right. So you're getting 2 months plus the monocle. I'm spending $15 for a monocle. Okay. Or I don't know. For the next like year, your in-game chat and local has a monocle next to it. I don't know. Something like make them look special and feel special, but spending $60 on something is just too much money. So when we talk about how to stay in business as a video game company, especially when you have a always on model, I've talked about this. EVE Online does it mostly right with Plex and Omega. One of the best monetizers I've seen for an MMO is actually ESO. I loved how ESO did it, where they had content and skills and abilities were locked behind chapters that were like $3 a pop. So if you just didn't like any of the skills, didn't like any of the things you would get, just don't spend the $5, $3 it is, whatever, you know, and then you're just over there. That's it. So can I pay $10 to shut off Trade Hub chats for a year? Let me show you how to shut it off, Claw. They just did this. Oh, you're gonna like this, dude. This is going in the video, okay? There's a thing now. You can filter. You click this bubble. This is new. Configure hidden messages, okay? In Jitta, you could do global, or in Jitta, I filter out, want to buy, hypernet, win ISK, wants to sell, URL equals contract, URL equals hypernet, URL recruit, whatever. Just like, look at this on the screen. Let me zoom it in for you so you can like type it out when you watch this video. Enhance. There, it's a little hard to see when I zoom in. Enjoy it. Pause the video. You've unpaused it. Welcome back to the video. There is your Jitta chat filter, my friends. Enjoy being able to see what people actually say in Jitta again, my friend. Okay. Here's the end all be all. You as the player can vote with your wallet. So can you put it in Discord? Sure. Here, let me say this rant while we talk about this. You as the player are the end all be all. And you can vote with your wallet. So if you are unable to pay for something and you think it's scummy, don't buy it. Too many of us buy stuff. Okay? I'm putting it in the EVE Online chat. Okay? I put it in EVE Online chat. And in fact, let me do this. Jitta, this is staying in the video. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want the EVE Online Jitta chat filter, you can go to our Discord and you go to the EVE Online chat and it's pinned for you. Okay, here it is. You can copy and paste it. It is pinned for you in the EVE Online pins. We have a bunch of EVE Online information is there as well. How to join our in-game chat, all of my codes, all the various, everything. Memories made. Enjoy it. Enjoy it. Let's keep talking about this video. So enjoy being able to speak in Jitta again, actual memes. Okay, actual truth. So I got you, Ottoman. It's too much money. Don't pay for something you don't want to buy. You know, you should never feel pressured to get a cosmetic. They're going to push items on you. They're going to do this, but you don't have to purchase them. And my point is this kind of thinking where we need more revenue drivers. So we made a $60 monocle. That doesn't feel good for the players. And it makes it clear that the players are there to pay our salaries. Now that is true. You don't have to like stick it in their face. So it's just not good.
sales model to allow for further
Doesn't feel good.
revenue. Revenue to fund our other
Doesn't feel
titles. Revenue for its developer. A particular article written by the company's principal game designer Kjartan Emerson
right, no-namer.
discusses the way that player attachment to virtual goods can create capital. Quote, an interesting aspect of selling experience and identity is that the actual action of paying for it can strengthen their perceived value. This is in many ways because of the way we are raised as consumers. We shop, therefore we are. Fashion is a beautiful example of this.
I think this makes a lot of sense, but I also think that you're your own person, and wellness is such a... I don't think it's in the game anymore, Lucy, but wellness is such an ingrained part of our brand. It's one of our core pillars that you should... I want you to hear me loud and clear. Never, ever feel pressured to pay for anything that you don't need. Like if you see someone else with nicer pants or nicer car or nicer shoes or a nicer in-game item, and Eve, who cares? Now, they're right though. There is it's both. It's you're your own person. You need to make your decisions, and you need to be able to understand that if someone buys something and has a better item than you, they are perceived as bigger. Chat, I'll be honest with you. Okay. I have cosmetics. Where's my... This is a really great point. Like, why... Maybe the title of this video will be like, why EVE Online's cosmetics are toxic. I don't know. I have cosmetics. I got this Odin's Eye from the market. I bought... This was like a pack one day, and I got this cool shirt. I got this because I was like, you know what? I decided... I didn't buy cosmetics for years. I played this game since 2008, right? And I saw this thing. I was like, yo, that looks nice. What is it, like 10 bucks? It was like 15 bucks for like the whole pack. I was like, you know what? I'm going to buy this. I want to support the game. I'm playing the game. I'm going to buy this. And I bought this. And a couple years later, whatever, I bought this headpiece thing. I think I got this off the market, this like eyepiece. I blinged out the character a little bit, but I did it because I wanted to. I did it because I wanted to, you know what? That looks pretty cool. I'll support the game that I'm playing and enjoying. There it is. Comparison is the thief of happiness and the thief of joy. 100%, yes. So when you buy cosmetics, there's nothing wrong with buying cosmetics. What becomes incorrect is if you feel compelled to buy every cosmetic. This is a self-control problem. It's something we've all got to work on. So
when buying nice clothes, we might feel more desirable and confident.
You can still buy the monocle on the market if you find someone that had one. Last one I saw, it ran a good 60 billion. Sure. I mean, that makes sense.
In this way, the act of buying can actually be a factor to make your experience more meaningful.
Oh my God, Dirk, when I tell you, I have to keep pausing because putting cosmetics on your character is so annoying. I would literally show you in like a short or something. I'll have to make it its own video. It's like, there's a couple steps. It's annoying. It's weird how to do it. I don't like the system. We'll talk about it.
Or your identity stronger, and as such, it becomes more competitive with other alternatives. The act of buying is a powerful psychological pattern, deeply rooted in all of us, whether we like it or not. The pure subscription model for games, even though quite well suited for the selling of holistic experiences, takes little advantage of this part of human nature. Many players will actually voice the opinion that adding any kind of consumerism to such a game will ruin their experience. Those same players will buy Plex without any qualms to get instant access to that ship they just need to have right now, and they might even go as far as buying a $500 leather jacket that matches the one their avatar is wearing. A balanced approach should acknowledge consumerism as a powerful game design tool, amongst others, that we need to get familiar with, and that should be used carefully and with respect to create more enjoyable experiences and stronger identities for our players. If successful, this will result in their increased emotional attachment to our product and services for the benefit of all. If not, we run the risk of sucking our customers dry and leaving their shriveled corpses by the side of the road to the benefit of none.
Oof, this is some cold, hard business talk today. Look, the reality is everything this is saying is correct. That the company is in its best interest to encourage us to buy things we like so that we are satisfied and able to continue buying. Right? Cold, hard business. That's how it is. What I'll tell you, though, is that we as individuals need to, as individuals, not as EVE players, no group, individuals, we need to practice having self-control and discernment on what we're doing. So if last night I lost a porpoise, I was with a mining fleet and we got smart bombed, or we got stealth bombered. They went around our defenses, whatever. Our officers are looking at it. They're going to like figure it out. I lost my porpoise. I went back to Jeddah and I bought another porpoise. Now, if I didn't have the ISK for it, should I buy Plex and get another porpoise? If I'm a working adult and I want a porpoise, and I go spend $5-10 on Plex and go get a porpoise, there's nothing wrong with that. No morally incorrect, nothing wrong with that. The problem is if every time I lose a ship, I feel compelled to do that. And if I actually don't know how to play the game, I'm just a credit card flying my favorite ship, and every time I lose it, I swipe. I'm not actually learning anything. That's a problem. It's one of the reasons why we put out our guides. So you go check out, if you have a favorite ship and you want to see it, my plan is to have a guide for all of them. At least one guide for each ship in the game. That's one of my goals. We probably won't be the first person to do it, but we're going to do our best, So it's really important that we as individuals understand that it's up to us how we spend our money. These companies have entire divisions of marketers. I say marketers with there's marketers and then there's marketers. You know what I mean? People that are trying to take your money versus people that are trying to help you. I'm the one that's trying to help you, okay? Because I'm not selling you. We've talked about this. We've had mobile app companies approach me that have offered me 20 grand plus, and it's not just Raid Shadow, whatever. It's companies I'm not going to mention. Everyone knows what that one is. I turned them down because I'm not going to do something that's going to harm the community, because that wasn't a game. It was a storefront masquerading as a game. So never fly a ship you cannot afford to lose. There it is. You are 100% correct. I want a build for Ishtar for routing drones. Soon, Battle. We love it. So people trying to earn and people trying to take. There it is. So Guardian Vector Guide. Yeah. Any ship that's attainable, right?
End quote. The debate portion featured noticeably little debate. Both employees writing for the piece, who had been approached and requested to support a given side, espoused the value of...
Look, the short answer to this question, are virtual goods sales in EVE a good thing? Yes. EVE Frontier, if done right, we talk about this a lot. We're not going to talk a lot about Frontier because that's its own video. But Frontier done right is going to let you, the individual, the consumer, have more ownership of those digital goods and buy and sell them as needed for literal real-world money if they execute the vision right. Sounds interesting. As far as EVE Online is concerned, are virtual goods sales in EVE a good thing? Yes. And if the consumer doesn't practice self-control, they're going to become that shriveled husk that they just talked about, right? Like, you as individuals have to practice self-control. I know you can.
Of virtual cosmetic sales for real money, disagreeing only on the measure of tangible in-game advantage that should be allowed for purchase. The writer for the Yes portion, a game designer named Christopher Toberg, wrote about his experience with the player base and their opinions on the matter.
This is interesting.
Quote, I would like virtual goods sales in EVE. In fact, I'd like to sell a lot more than vanity items. Does this mean I'm an evil capitalist that, unless stopped, will cause the entire company to catch fire and be buried at sea by a secret team of Navy SEALs? Let's hope not, although that's the impression I get sometimes when interacting with our customers. There is a pretty overwhelming perception amongst EVE players that these changes are bad. I think they're brilliant, but our players don't. We're going to face an uphill struggle, and the reason many of us never talk about this publicly is that we'd be burned at the stake by the players. I don't really understand the logic behind it.
Look, it really just comes down to this. The company is encouraged to make products that we will buy, and if they're good, we will buy them. The Skinner system has been an interesting update. I think it was a little bit over monetized. It's the main driver of the Plex increases, in my opinion, not to mention real world inflation, right? But Skinner system has both helped the exclusivity feel of cosmetics and hurt. They've done both, because I can make a skin for my Ocketer that only I have, that I made. I got this awesome, I made this. This is a dark green, black matte skin with like a daggum edgy skull on the engines. Like, I did this myself. I wanted it to look nice and edgy. So it is. I love the dark green with the yellow, with the matte black. And of course, we got our lovely nose ship. I made this skin for me. So this makes me feel like it's my ship. The problem is, anybody can make their own skins, and they're not earnable. Let's say this is the Awakening skin that you have to buy with ISK or however much it came out. I love the skin for the Proteus. One day I'll make my own Proteus skin too. I have a bunch of Skinner items that we're saving up and stockpiling so that I can make us as a community skins and skins for me, skins to sell, all this other stuff. I have 8.6 billion ISK and mats in here. I'm saving these. I'm stockpiling them. I'm making them slowly, and we'll make like a line of Loru skins or something. What ends up happening right now is the events that happen, and there isn't one active right now because the Winter Nexus just went down. It just ended. Is you can earn cosmetic shaders, colors, whatever, but because everybody can go take those and make their own skin, you don't know what it took to earn that skin. The number one thing that MMOs and games are missing right now are something that at a glance I can see it and I know you've been somewhere. Let me tell you what I mean. When I played WoW, we were in raiding guilds in BC and Wrath. When I was walking around Dalaran and Wrath, I was a Death Knight main tank, raid leader, the whole thing. I would see some of my other Death Knights, and I would look and I would see that sword that I've been going for, and I'm like, oh man, nice, good job. He earned it. He didn't buy it. So I'm like, man, you really cleared that 10-man heroic, whatever. And he's like, yeah, man, we tried this new strat. And we would talk about it. Really good. It made the multiplayer aspect of it really good. And there's some vanity behind it because I wanted the good-looking axe. You know what I'm saying? What's it called? Shadowmourne, right? You know, all that. I think that was the legendary, right? In EVE, there's less of that because it's like, you have the battleship, you have a marauder. That'll take me 9 months. I could pay to make it 3. So it's a good thing that you can shorten the length and buy the ship and buy the item because you can pay money to get it. And again, we can have a whole video on why EVE does pay to win the best way I've seen. Pay to win to a point because you can lose your crap. That's just the short of it. EVE should allow you to buy ships, items, plex. I think so. The problem is, in doing that, you lose something. You lose this, like, the player has been there kind of thing. And it ends up being, like, all through word of mouth. We've watched down the rabbit hole about this person was the espionage thing, about Goon Swarm, and he was the reason that Band of Brothers died. I forget his name now. You know, I don't remember his name. And to your point, Talamir, the people that had the bear mount, people would see him and just walk past him and go, you know, because they know, dude got the bear. In Zulaman, yes, I didn't get the bear. I'm salty about it, you know. I would never know. I don't remember the guy's name that was the espionage dude in Band of Brothers and left and joined Goons. I don't remember his name. He is integral to the history of New Eden, and I would not notice him as I pass. Because you can buy stuff and the working adult is able to, like, yeah, I lost my ship, so I spent $10. That's a good system because we as working adults, many of you have kids, many of you have families. We don't have 16 hours to grind for a thing. But because there's really nothing there that fills that void, and I don't know how they could fill it, you know? So it's a tough conversation that I don't think there is a right answer. And you might say, just get a Titan. Yeah, Titans are interesting. But it's just something, again, I can just buy, you know? So Eve Echoes has become very, very pay to play. I don't make guides on Eve Echoes because it just looks like a cash grab. I'm just going to be direct. It's a different studio. It's a different team. I don't like mobile games. I'm not doing it. So seeing 2-month-old characters in max boost Orca, for example. Yep. You could do achievements, titles. Titles in WoW are interesting, but now it's just a collectathon. See, the problem with titles is it's a good system. But then after 6 years, everybody has the same titles. What they should do is have titles that are time gated, right? Like the server first for Malagos was like Seeker of Magic. And there was a Death Knight in our #1 raiding guild. And I noticed him because he killed Malagos on week 1, server first, and got Seeker of Magic as a Death Knight. That means he poop-socked, no-lifed his Death Knight to max level the second day. And they were raiding on day 6 with a Death Knight, brand new character just made. Every time I saw that guy, I was like, what's up? You know, and he didn't know the hell who I was, but I was like top 10 raiding guild. He saw another gear Death Knight and was like, you know, what's up, dude? That was it. But there is that respect isn't there in EVE. Instead, it's all by word of mouth or by alliance. Like if you see somebody in Goons, you might be like, oh, what's up, dude? But at the same time, Goons such a big corp, big alliance. You're like, yeah, whatever. So it's a big conversation and I don't know how to solve it. I do think it's a good thing that they let us buy items because we're adults.
A later part of the feature states that the company was suggesting selling faction standings, an important limiting aspect of the game. Speaking of Dust 514, a header reads, "Next summer, people will be flocking to play Dust 514. There will be an entrance fee, but we will make sure to also provide some proverbial free towels. We will be charging for the swimming goggles, though. Towards the end, it discusses the inevitability.
I should have been free to play. This was before Fortnite and everything, so we can fault them all they want for not making it free to play. But to have a game that's a Call of Duty, this was a publisher decision, but in my marketing brain, to have a game that's a competitor to Call of Duty, and no matter what you say, that's who the competition is. It's if a new shooter comes out, the competition is not the other small shooter. It's COD. It's Halo. So then if you make your game as expensive as those, people are going to go buy Halo, Call of Duty.
Of charging players for in-game advantages for the upcoming World of Darkness. Quote, escalation of commitment is another key concept for the value of virtual goods sales. When a person has put time, effort, or money into something, she's more likely to be attached.
That's true.
If players can spend more money directly on our game, their enjoyment will heighten, and they'll bond more strongly with it. After discussing strategies to allow players to purchase an appropriate amount of in-game power, it concludes by stating, the question of virtual goods sales is not to do or not to do. Rather, it's how do we do this? For the yet unpublished World of Darkness, the details are foggy, but the philosophy is strong.
I agree.
End quote. When this company magazine was leaked to the public, gaming news outlets immediately began covering it, and the community was outraged.
I mean, I gotta tell you, who made this title? Look, this was an internal doc. Alleged internal CCP newsletter. Ugh. There's no way to swing that this is bad optics. Okay. Title. How do we make our players... The ways we're going to make our players feel more connected to their characters. Right? We're going to make a bunch of cosmetics that let you customize your character to your liking. We have an entire art team dedicated behind it. We're going to have Amar robes and Galente frills and Caldari military and more rust, whatever. Like, we're going to do that versus give me money. Money me. Money now. Like, it just looks like that Always Sunny's thing. This is bad, dude. There's no way to slice it. It's bad optics. So, and why optics are bad is why optics being bad are bad for business and bad for the community is literally anything besides green is good. Yes. So,
what should we name the memo? I was thinking, I'm very evil. Give me money.
I don't know why this was the title. This is it's really stupid. Exactly, Jack. It's crazy. But like, if I go to the supermarket and I buy bananas, we always take these complex things and we try to make it simple, right? Thanks for your patience while I'm sick, y'all. If I go buy bananas, okay, and at the front of the store, it says at Walmart, at Mart Wall, at I don't want to say their name because they don't actually say this. At Pinpoint Store, whatever. The logo is a red circle with that you shoot arrows at. Okay, thank you. At Pinpoint Store, our goal is to make the most money off of you. I'm gonna look at that, look at my wife, and go, "Hey, can we go to the store up the street?" That's how this reads. It doesn't matter if they're trying to help players do X, Y, Z. Because how you do something is just as important as what you do. So if the objective is, hey, we need more money, let's give them some crap to buy. Oof. Okay. Oof. So I didn't say it's Sargon. I didn't say anything. You know what I'm saying? Pinpoint Store is a really cute football head dog. Exactly.
Players took their ships to Jeddah, the trade hub of all of New Eden, and began firing at a prominent invulnerable statue to show their displeasure in a visible fashion.
Yep.
But arguably, the more impactful action was when thousands of players canceled their monthly subscription.
Good.
Some resolved that they would do so for as long as was necessary for Crowd Control Productions to change their minds, while others decided that, with this new direction that the company was taking, the good days of EVE Online were over, and it was time to move on to other games, or from gaming entirely.
Look, good. You are the power behind the company. You as the consumer, the individual, your buying habits are what they should be trying to learn, not the other way around. You know what I'm saying? So Sally, what's up? It's good to see you. This is my big point. I'm so proud of the community for back in the Incarnate days for unsubbing. I'm serious. You know, chat, that I'm an Eve partner. I want the game to thrive so that I can keep this lifestyle going. But I'm not going to do that at the expense of your wellness. Okay? So if Eve Frontier comes out and it's a cash grab, crappy, not good game, well, that's what we're going to say. I have hope it's going to be good, okay? Because I think that, you know, CCP Jotun and those guys, the community team, are really doing great. Oof, chat, pray for your boy. The flu is not fun. So I think Vanguard's going to be good. I think it'll be Dust 1.5, Dust 5.1.4. Saw my dyslexia, right? Dust 5.1.4, but better, I hope. If it isn't, we're going to talk about it. If it isn't, and if you unsub because of it, more power to you. You vote with your wallets. That's what the company listens to. Okay? So
An internal letter from CEO.
Right, my man? Like, make sure I get you a copy of the internal laws of acquisition. Is that what it is? Is it the internal laws of acquisition? Or is it, I'm like scrambled in my like brain right now. You never know when they will come in handy. What are they called again? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, right, Viley. The entire Northeast got it, I think. Our houses get like the Christmas crud. Everybody's calling it. Yeah, right, Bonzi? It's crazy.
Hilmar Pedersen was leaked, stating that this reaction was to be expected and that the players were simply resisting change. The player base was only emboldened, and the protests continued, beginning what would be known either as the Summer of Rage or the more reductive Monocle Gate, after the exorbitant price of the Monocle cosmetic item in the store.
Yep.
Despite the hopes and expectations of company management, the protest showed no signs of stopping 4 months later, even after a discussion with the Council of Stellar Management. In an effort to placate their player base, Hilmar...
They thought that Eve players... Didn't we just watch the part where Eve players camped one station in Null for 30 days with bubbles? Yeah, I don't think Eve players are going to let up on anything because we're stubborn.
released a long apologetic letter which opened
Drex.
with plaintive prose. Quote, "Dear followers of EVE Online, the past few months have been very humbling for me. I've done much soul-searching, and what follows is my sincere effort to clear the air with all of you.
Okay.
Please bear with me as I find my way through. The estrangement from CCP that many of you have been feeling of late is my fault, and for that I am truly sorry.
My man.
There are many contributing factors, but in the end, it is I who must shoulder the responsibility for much of what has happened. In short, my zeal for pushing Eve to her true potential made me lose sight of doing the simple things right. I was wrong, and I admit it."
Yo, Loktar Ogar, my man, this chat, what we were saying yesterday when we reacted to the rest of the first part of this, of Down the Rabbit Hole, whose fault is it if a company fails? It's the boss. It's the top, because culture flows downstream from the figurehead. That's how it is no matter the company. This is good. He apologized. He recognizes the problems, and it's Goonswarm. It's always Goonswarm. That's right. Exactly. You know, this is good. And I applaud Hilmar for saying, I'm sorry. I recognize it. That's the way. So, yo, Whiskey, thanks for the membership on YouTube, brother. Welcome.
End
Good
quote.
to have you.
The rest of the letter consisted
Respect.
of points of failure perceived by the player base and copious apologies. However sincere these apologies may have been, it was not enough to entirely reverse the negative perception of the company.
Oh, of course.
A press release 2 weeks later revealed that what they had once internally referred to as a golden goose had stopped being quite so lucrative, and they would be reorganizing their company significantly, including laying off a fifth of their workforce. They explained that, quote, "For the immediate future, our mission is to enrich the vast EVE universe by strengthening the continuous development of EVE Online while preparing to bring Dust 514 to market on the PS3. We do this in order to realize our ambitious and challenging plan of joining the two in a cross-platform, truly massive online world. World of Darkness will continue development with a significantly reduced team. This team will continue to iterate and expand on the gameplay and systems they have designed. We will also redeploy creative teams in Atlanta to support the launch of Dust 514.
They lost 20% of their team, and they're spread. So, okay. They're losing players daily. The players in the game are unhappy. News articles are getting written about them. New players aren't signing up as much. They have 2 new games coming out. One of them isn't finished, World of Darkness. They're already cannibalizing the team. It's significantly reduced. That means it's not coming out, basically, right? They have hopes it will, but they don't think it will. They don't think it will, is what I'm assuming. They're working on Dust 514. Dust 514 is launching, but There's a lot of work that needs to be done there. Eve is not doing well. The company's not doing well. You're voting with your wallet. You players made it so that a company was affected. Good job. Of course, the apology wasn't enough. There has to also be action backed up in the apology. This kind of sucks that people lost their jobs, but it's not the players' fault. No, no, no. The players did everything right here. They voted with their wallet. They protested in game. That's it. The company mismanaged things. The company was CCP Games, did not do this effectively. Now, how should they have done it? I have no idea, man. You know, we're just talking about history. I have no idea the internal politics, all this other stuff. What's clear is that Hilmar recognizes it at the time and was trying to push forward however they can. The goal of the company is to stay in business. So they had to let people go. That's good. That's good. Okay. You know, it's good for you, not good for people who lost their jobs. Oh, sevenths to them. That's the company's fault, not the players. It's never the players' fault. If I walk up to a grocery store to buy bananas, and at the front of the grocery store, it says, we've doubled the prices, or says something like, I want your money. I'm not shopping there. It's not my fault if the company goes under. It's the company's bad policies that made people not want to shop there. It's not the consumer's fault. Our money is ours to spend. It's not owed to anything. So the companies need to encourage us to give them money by good, better business practices. It's about you as the individual. That's it. So,
End quote.
What did Sargon say? Tell me. I see it. Sorry, you must wait 30 seconds to reactivate mining lasers. Skip the wait with Omega. If that ever happens, you're going to hear me talking about it. I don't think it will.
But the purported gameplay and systems for World of Darkness were in a questionable state. Per the Guardian article, quote, there seemed to be no clear vision on how the various parts would create a cohesive end product. Sources report that the game effectively reached alpha, the stage at which all the major features have been implemented, 3 times, only for each version to be scrapped.
Yeesh.
End quote. Despite confidently claiming that they still had more EVE subscribers than a year prior, it was now clear that the expectations of the executives at the company had been severely curtailed. Now, they would have to desperately struggle to maintain what they still had in EVE Online.
That's tough.
While
That's
the state
16.
of the company...
Before we go to section 16, here's the reality. A company, we've said this many, many times, no company is perfect because a company is comprised of people, and people aren't perfect. And we all try to do our best in our individual roles to help the group that we're a part of. I just described like humanity, you know, sheesh. The thing about this is, at least the head of CCP Games, Hilmar, saw that this was an issue, apologized, and you assume that they're working on the back end to try to fix stuff. You know, and again, we don't know the in-office politics. No one ever knows for sure because we're not in the meetings. We're not reading memos. Even that alleged memo might not have been true. We don't know. We kind of assume it is because of the reactions of it, right? But my point is, when you see a company, it doesn't matter if it's for a video game or not, doing questionable business practices, you don't have to give them your money. And that is the best way to vote on what the future of the game looks like. Now, but what if that kills the game? It was confirmed real. There it is. What if that kills the game? You still didn't spend any money, and you as the consumer are protected. That's my goal, okay? I want CCP Games to thrive. We're talking about news that's decades old, right? This is literal old news, actual. I think the direction, let's talk about now. I think the recent updates to EVE Online have been tremendous. I think 2024 has been EVE's best year, period, full stop. I think it was awesome. The features, the various things. Equinox was, not great. It was good, not great with all the systems. There was a lot of balancing. A lot of null blocks were unhappy, but it's hard to know if the null blocks were just unhappy because that's how they are. We want changes. They changed too much. Like, you know, it's possible to please, you know, thousands of alt accounts owned by 2 people. So it's, you know, the point is, I think the future of EVE is also very bright because they've seen these failures. It's easy to look at these failures and go, I don't know if I should play EVE. This is how the company is. No, that's how the company was. Okay. Now, if there is another shady business practice, then you're going to hear it from me. So Null getting hella shade today. It is, you know, it's like I can talk bad about Null because they don't care about me. Yeah, it's Null people know that they have way bigger problems than some big-nosed YouTuber saying like a snide comment. You know, they have literal epic wars to fight, like Goon Swarm wars, goodness gracious. So my point is, like, we can look back at this history to understand how to contextualize what you should do is by understanding what happened. You have to look back. Now, what we don't want to do is romanticize what could be and not talk about what is. Okay, so what's happening is Eve is improving. If it doesn't keep improving, well, you're going to hear about it first. Y'all, if you want the full Down the Rabbit Hole playlist, that's right here for you. If you want a best Eve guides and more content like this, press this button right here and subscribe. We'll see you in the next video. Great discussions as always, y'all. We'll see you soon. Thanks.